How's everybody's Wednesday going? Today is October 25th, 2023. My name is Kim Ann Curtin, the Wall Street coach. I hop on here a couple days a week to do some live coaching. And I am hoping we have a handful of people who are about to come in. I'm just going to move this little fan here a little lower because it's pretty hot today. We're having an Indian summer, as they call it. I hope you guys have some questions today, so feel free to put them in the chat box. If you do, I have one specific question from one of our viewers on my YouTube channel, which most times everybody comes in from YouTube, but this does air on Facebook, Twitter. What's the other one? Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Hi, Tina. I'm so glad you're here. I'm looking for this comment. We had basically an inquiry for coaching on a specific topic put in the comments. Oh, there you are. Bill Krosky, I'm so glad you're here. Of course. But more than respond to your comment, I want to try to address it. So, Bill Krosky, if you don't mind, cutting and pasting into this chat box, then I can speak directly to it, and our viewers get to see, the topic as well. So I'm so glad you're here, because I was just going to start looking on my phone for the comments to bring it top of mind. So just as long as you're comfortable doing that, because ultimately that's what this forum is for. This is for me to try to help coach where you're having some challenge, where you're feeling stuck. And I do remember your comment. I just answered it a couple of hours ago, and I did have some input, but I'm even happier you're here, because it just, we'll be able to coach. I'll be able to coach you in real time, and hopefully, have you answer questions as I start to go down the path. So I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's just, if you're in a position to either write it out again or cut and paste your comment earlier, that would be great. All right. And Tina, if anything you want coaching on today, just feel free to put that in the box as well. So I try to do these 2 to 3 times a week, usually around give or take this time. It's in the window of this time or a little bit earlier. And this is really just my way of giving back to the, trading community, because you guys work your asses off. I know that. And I know that not everybody's in a position to invest in coaching. But on that note, let me say that I do have a number of ways to work with me, including a small group coaching, which is going to be launching in a couple of weeks. That's a 6-week intensive, an hour every week for 6 weeks. And that is for, sophisticated traders. I also do one for novice traders, but the sophisticated traders seems to be the popular one. So if you guys are interested, please just send me a DM to Twitter, and I can send you the information about what the investment is and what the outline looks like. Hi, Shane. How's today gone? Shane had a rough day yesterday. He came in to get some speed coaching when we did our YouTube yesterday, but it was a challenging day. I'm hoping today was a better day, Shane. We did some speed coaching here on YouTube yesterday, and another one of our regulars, Jasmine here, she had a challenge as well. So I also like this forum because I think it gives traders an opportunity to just see how the same challenges, each of them are unique, guys, but the same basic challenges repeat themselves. And that does a couple of things. Number one, I hope it lets you guys see that there's nothing wrong with you, that this is part of being a trader, that it's the dynamic of up-leveling yourself, that you're going to bump into certain things all the time that other traders are going through as well. This is also why community is so important, right? Why is this forum effective? It's effective because when you see somebody else who's navigating something even similar to you, first of all, you don't feel as isolated. You don't feel like you're the only one. You don't feel like, oh, it's just me. No, you get to see, oh, I see this is part of the challenge everybody goes through. Trying supposed to come up and it lives 200 characters, so it's going to take a minute. That's so funny. Well, you know what, Phil Krosky, just take 200 and cut 200, but I'm sure that's tricky to do. But I'm surprised it does 200 characters, only because we've had some pretty robust questions, but maybe people put in their question and then type. You can put in multiple questions. I mean, here, you can put in as many as you need to get the point across. So take your time. And I could always go over to Velkrosky to your comments. It wasn't that long of a question. It was just very articulate, as I recall. But I answered it on my laptop. So my only concern is I'm not sure it's going to pop up right away. But so yes, that you were wondering if I could speak specifically to a situation. Yes. And hopefully, my hope is that on occasion, today was another red day for me. Shane says, I realized after today the adjustments I need to make going forward. Look, Shane, that red day then is valuable to you, because part of what also is important, guys, is it's so easy to get obsessed with your P&L. It's so easy to get obsessed with if it's a green day, and if it isn't, oh my God. But if you just figured out, Shane, what you need to do to go forward, then that red day is more valuable to you than a green day today. So I hope you see that. Like, the question is, what did you learn? It isn't about the mistakes you make. It's about what wisdom are you going to squeeze out of those mistakes? What wisdom are you going to squeeze out of a red day or a big drawdown? What is the wisdom you learn and take with you into the next trade, the next, couple of months, couple of years, right? It's what are you learning? If you're just beating the hell out of yourself, you're not going to get any value out of it. So that's why it's not a good use of your time. All right. So Velkrosky says that he's been trading well lately, but has had trouble sizing in when you're correct. You're saying it's an execution problem. I'm not so sure it is an execution problem. I suspect it's an emotional there's some kind of emotional resistance that's afoot, and about wanting to get, good job, Velkrosky, good job. That was hard. You did it. But part of what I saw when I read this earlier, Velkrosky, is that that statement that you have there about just the trigger of feelings of pressure to just get the goal to the goal of quitting the day job and trade for a living. I suspect some of the energy of getting hijacked is that impatience. And what I want to suggest is that, first of all, I'm going to ask you, how long have you been trading for? One of the things, and Velkrosky, by the time you get that in, if you've been trading for less than 10 years, to be holding yourself to this really incredible high standard of being able to quit your full-time job, so 2.5 years, like, good job. And this is what happens to a lot of traders who are under 10 years, under 5 years. You guys have this like really inappropriately high expectation of having secured such competency in such a small amount of time that you could quit your day job. So there is an assessment that I, sell to people that's life-changing. And one of the scores that gets measured is our motivation. Now, I'm a coach, right? I love people who have big dreams and bodacious goals. I advocate them. But as I've used this metaphor before, if this coming weekend was the Ironman and Yuval Krosky said to me, Kim, I'm going to run into Ironman, I'm going to be like, really? Not just run, ride, and swim this weekend. And I'd be like, really? And have you been training for that? Have you been preparing for this, incredibly intense race? And you'd be like, no, but I'm going to take it on anyway. And I'm going to win. That's sort of like expecting yourself to be so good at trading that you only need 2.5 years to be able to quit your day job. That's an inappropriately high expectation, right? And let's say you finish the Ironman, you stay in it long enough to even cross the finish line. Instead of focus on the miracle that your body was able to endure that brutally punishing racetrack, you'll feel bad about yourself because you didn't come in first. That would be the example of an inappropriately high expectation. So if you potentially, Volkrosky, I'm going to get to you in a second, OSB, but if you are potentially holding yourself to impossible standards, you are going to race and you are going to push and you're going to force and you are going to ignore what the market is doing, what the market is available for you to do. You're going to ignore all that because you have what is also known as blind ambition. What does that mean? Blind ambition. It means to not be conscious, not be aware of what is happening around you, and double checking, triple checking. I want you to have big, bodacious goals, but I want them to be reasonable. I want them to be, they can be bodacious, but in the realm of this galaxy. Let's say that, right? If you're going out to the outer galaxies, then that would probably be an inappropriate expectation to put upon yourself. And here's the thing. Your way of becoming the best trader you can is you're going to have to come to a deep, abiding relationship to neutrality. And what I heard in your description, Volkrosky, is that you have an agenda. And if you come to the market with an agenda, guess what? Just like the Godfather, it's going to say, I don't care about your agenda. I care only about my agenda. That's what the market cares about. So the key here is that I want you to start to ask yourself, what happens to your trading if this arbitrary, I should be able to quit my day job, is lifted off of you? If you release yourself from that, I want to say inappropriately high expectation, I suspect your trading will automatically start to improve. One of the things that's very tricky is that it is going to be the main focus coming into your trading with you when you have that, instead of being able to see the market for the market, which is what you have to do. And the other thing too that you spoke to, Volkrosky, and then I'll get to you, OSB, is there's a part here where you say, that it's an execution problem. I suspect too, what's also happening here is that when part of the reason you're not, possibly, you have to check for yourself within yourself too. But part of what I suspect is happening is that your desire to size in is more informed by your desire to be able to quit your day job than it being crystal clear to you that it's appropriate to size in. I think that your unwillingness to size in is wisdom, is you knowing you aren't 100% sure. You don't have enough data, or your pattern doesn't have enough proof behind it, that there is hesitation because you're putting your money where your mouth is and you're like, not sure about that. But the desire to size in the first place at 2.5 years, I suspect, and 2.5 years, not full time, let's clarify that too. If you still have a day job, your 2.5 years has not been you trading 40 hours a week or more. It's been probably less than that. You can tell me what it is. But if you are wanting to size in just because you want to be able to finally be a full-time day trader, that is not enough good reason. And so thank God there's a part of you that's hesitant, because that's keeping your capital safe. So you can tell me what you think about that, Bill Krosky, but that's my intuition based on what I'm reading here. All right, we're going to go to you, OSB. Let's see what you got. Today, I was trading at Starbucks and I had sized into a trade that would have completed my entire challenge of 10K. OSB has a competition right now to make 10K. And right as it took off, the Starbucks Wi-Fi went down. So I exited the trade. Holy shit. I can't believe that happened to you. I'm so sorry, OSB. That sucks. I was not as upset as I would have been because I changed the meaning of the situation, like you had said. I changed it to, this is the universe's way of giving me more experience of hitting the bell instead of home runs, just the dinger. Thank you for everything. Oh, OSB, look at you taking that freaking lemon and turning it into lemonade. I am so proud of you. I am so happy for you, because that is magic. That is worth more than the $10,000, securing the $10,000. That's priceless, because that attitude and that approach is wealth, guys. That is true wealth. The ability to take a shitty situation and find a way to reposition it for yourself and still see, if anything, OSB, what if you, like, God forbid it doesn't happen ever again, but if you keep finding multiple ways to make that 10K, you are going to be a man who is in that market with multiple skill sets. Multiple times you're going to have options to make money. You have just up-leveled yourself mentally and emotionally. It is profound. I cannot say enough how proud I am of you. I don't know how you did that. That would have challenged Mother Teresa and the Dalai Lama if they were like at the close of being able to get that 10K to win that contest, or at least be in the running, and then to have the stupid Wi-Fi go out. I would have flipped out. There will definitely be other opportunities, because in a sense, what your response is a response of abundance, is a response of, there's more than enough opportunities in the marketplace. And I am going to become the kind of trader who sees them whenever they exist. That is the ultimate power. When we have something like that happen and we get lost in, like, I lost that, like, as if that was the only chance. It isn't the only chance. And when you start to come from that headspace, you're going to see things in the marketplace that you probably never saw before, because your head is in such a different kind of space that now you're going to be like, oh, this is possible. This is so much more possible than I ever realized before. And that is limitless. That is so coming from the land of abundance instead of the one of scarcity. And that is what I'm suggesting, Bill Krosky, to you as well. I want you to say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to focus on my trading. I'm going to focus with whatever time I have to do the best job I can possibly do. All right, you have a comment here. All right, so Bill Krosky says, I think you're right. The more frustrated I am with work, the worse I trade. Conversely, the happier I am with how other things are going in my life, the better my trading. So let me just speak to that before I see the second comment. What I want you to realize, though, Phil Krosky, is it is how do you find a way to, here's what I'm going to give you as a homework. I want you to write a list of all the things you're grateful for of having a day job. That day job has likely become sort of the albatross around your neck. And what I want to suggest is that you start to look for all the benefits you get by having that job. Security is one of them. It likely affords your ability to even be a trader part-time, but I bet you there's even more. So this is something called appreciative inquiry. It's the willingness to start to find all the things that are right in a situation, not what's wrong with it. See if that doesn't have an impact on your relationship to the job. I get that there's probably cons there. I have no doubt of that. But I want you to focus, and here's a crazy homework assignment. I want you to write 50 to 75 things that are benefiting you having that full-time job, to shift your thinking into gratitude, to shift your thinking from scarcity to abundance, and see what happens. All right, and Krosky said here, what I meant about execution problem is that I have had a high win rate at 80 or 90%, but I need to add my size so that my losers don't blow away my winners by so much. Okay, understood. That makes sense. And I still feel somehow, because you have this agenda of wanting to be a full-time trader, possibly blinds you from your full awareness in the trading day. So I'm kind of curious what then could be afoot. And I put this question to you to ruminate upon it too, Volkrosky. I want you to think about what could be the resistance to sizing up. Start to just think about what it could be tied to. And also see if you can identify what are the emotions that get kicked up at the idea of sizing up. That will help me too. All right, so let me just scroll down a little bit further here. So Shane says, I know I've been changing because I've had some significant losses this week. It was an emotional battle at first, but I have to remind myself I will get to the level I want to. Yes, you will, Shane. OSB said, it's all because of your coaching. LOL. That's so nice. I've been applying, changing the meaning. And Joe Mo, he's practicing Joe Mo to your personal life as well. Super excited for the coaching tomorrow. I'm excited for it too. You could do it, Shane. I believe in you. So good. So good. All right. Okay, Phil Krosky, you're going to give it a try. I'm very happy to hear that. Good job. Everybody supporting each other, everybody encouraging each other. It is the best. I am so glad. It sounds like Eric. Oh, Eric, I didn't even see your comments. I'm so sorry. I must have just gone right past it here. So Eric says, time of day combined with a personal schedule taken to a new level. You are following your checklist and handling your emotions. Way to be prepared, OSB. Oh, Eric, yes, you're talking OSB. Yeah, at the time of day, come on, person's got taken to a new level. Yep, he was following his checklist, handling his emotions. Way to be prepared. I'm totally with you, Eric. I second that. It's so true. That is what you guys are all, this is what trading is here for, guys. Yes, it's here to give you guys some capital. Yes, it's here, but it's ultimately here for you to start to get really good at preparation. I want you guys to be like emotional Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs are not unemotional. They simply are so self-aware of themselves that they're able to notice when an emotion comes upon them. They're able to observe an emotion. They're still going to potentially have those triggers, but their ability to navigate that trigger and not ignore that trigger and not become consumed by that trigger, That is the key. And that's what I really want you guys to see. I want you guys to see that this is all about you becoming the master of what's happening for you emotionally. That is the key. And this takes practice because nobody teaches us this. Nobody has taught us how to navigate the emotional side of our lives, never mind your trading. I think it's very difficult. And I think anybody who's in the battle to try to get better at this is incredibly brave. And I don't think most people do it. And that's why I think it's probably pretty hard. So I'm still trying to adjust my screen here. So if you see things moving around, you know what's going on. So we have a little bit of time left. If anybody else has something they want coaching on, or if there's anything unclear, Velkrosky with regards to what I'm suggesting, just ask away. Okay, so there's the half screen. I'm trying to do this in such a way that I can have the statements still show up. I don't know. It's a little tricky. Technology is always tricky. Picture in picture, cinema, thumbnail. Let's see if does that work? I don't know. I figured it out the other day, but every time I try to do the same thing the next day, it doesn't work. All right. Any questions, guys? Ultimately, what's here? What's here is the the noticing of the agendas. Everybody, for the most part, is coming to trading because they have goals for themselves. Nothing wrong with having goals. But when you start to get attached to an agenda, what potentially happens is that you don't stay in reality. Embrace the suck, exactly what the Navy SEALs say, right? And embrace the suck sounds awful. Most of us don't even pay attention to how we feel. How the hell are you going to be able to embrace the suck if you don't even know what sucks for you, if you don't even know what you don't like? Like, I want you guys to start to become masters of the things that do trigger you. I want you guys to get to the point where you're like, oh, whenever that happens, I have this kind of a response. And what is afoot is that all of us have initially a reaction. But the keys to the kingdom is that when you start to become so self-aware, you will see your trigger coming a mile away, and then you will prepare yourself to not react, but to respond. And when you do that, and as you begin to do that even more often, what happens, guys, is you rewire your brain. You teach your brain, oh, right, that used to be a trigger, but now I am so practiced at responding instead of reacting that I don't even feel bogged down by this. Yes, not only do I have a rooster, it's not in my office, but it is in the vicinity of my office. And I don't just have one. This beautiful little, it's called Parker Square. It's this beautiful little sweet shopping center on the second floor. We have chickens and roosters galore. This is just the nature of Hawaii. In New York City, we have pigeons. Here we have chickens and we have roosters. So yes, you are not imagining things. I don't even hear it anymore. You know, it's so funny. In the beginning, I was going crazy calling the management company, always asking them to please have somebody come and take these roosters away. I was driving me out of my mind. But if it squawked recently, I presume it did, Krosky, because you're asking me. I didn't even hear it. That tells you how long I've been here. And what's so funny is in New York City, that used to be the way it was for me with sirens, because you must hear, no doubt, 200 sirens a day in New York City. And I would be having conversations with friends, and when the sirens, pass us, we would just keep talking like we didn't even hear them. Now, what's replaced sirens are roosters. I don't even hear them anymore. Oh my God. Tina, roosters are a fun pet. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Here's the problem. If roosters just, cock-a-doodle-doo at like the sunrise, that would be fine. These mofos, they go all day long. They cock-a-doodle-doo at 2 o'clock in the morning. They cock-a-doodle-doo, as you guys can see, at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They don't do it just at sunrise. They do it whenever they want, which is basically all day long. Oh my God. Yeah, the sirens and the horns, totally. And you just don't hear them anymore after a while. But here it's the roosters. But what I wanted to say, Tina, is about them being a fun pet. I have to disagree because the first time I came to the Big Island, I house sat for a woman, and my job was to take care of her chickens. I had eight or 9 chickens that I had to feed every day. And I also was taking care of a bird and a cat. But the roosters were brutal. I wound up finding this neighborhood girl. I paid her way too much money to help assist because I also had to take the eggs out from under the chickens, and they used to try to bite my hands because they could see I was such a New York City slicker. I had no idea what I was doing. So, oh my God, it was. I was there for 8 weeks taking care of these chickens, and one of them died on my watch too. I don't even know what happened. I think she died of old age. But I came out one day and there was this chicken in the middle of this it was like a hen house, literally. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like, is she taking a nap? What is going on? I really didn't know how to work with chickens. And then I went to the neighbor who was like, far away. And he comes over and he's like, what'd you do? I was like, I didn't do anything. What the hell? And then I had another friend who told me I should just replace it with another chicken because there's so many freaking chickens here. And I was like, I thought they were like pets, but they weren't. They're like utilitarian here. Anyway, enough about the chickens and the roosters. What do we got here? All right. So Eric says, good lesson for trading things are tuned out over time. They won't even matter. Eric, that is pure gold. Put that on a Post-it. I am so with you. That's part of why there's so much emphasis on screen time, guys. Why is there so much emphasis on screen time besides the obvious of pattern recognition? But it's also because it's exposure therapy. The more you see the volatility, the more you see the mayhem, the more you get comfortable with it, just like a freaking rooster or a freaking siren or horn in New York City. All right, Tina had a rooster named Barbecue. Was that to prepare it for its inevitable demise, Tina? And then a hen named Charcoal. That is hilarious. I don't even know what to say. Oh my God. I don't know how we got down. You guys are like, I'm kidding. Like, we probably have a bunch of people who are coming in. They're like, where's the coaching camp? Are you talking about roosters and New York City ambulance sirens? What the hell is this that I just signed up for? But that's how we roll here. The Wall Street Coach. We just take what comes in and we rip on it. Oh my God, I'm laughing so hard. Tina, I love those names. Barbecue and Charcoal. What can I tell you? Yeah, I mean, look, I'll deal with the chickens, but the roosters, they are very loud and impossible to deal with. Mm-hmm. But Velkrosky noticed it. He's like, did you have a rooster in your office? I'm like, nope, right downstairs. Should I unplug myself and show you guys? I don't know if they're still down there. I'm gonna have to unplug the mic, but here, I'll take you guys for a little tour. I figure why not? since we're talking about them, I hope they're down there. There's like 20 of them right there. Let's see what we got, guys. This is my office, and this is it. Can we see? There it is. You see the chickens? I don't know if you guys can see them. There's the rooster down there at the end, all red and pretty. Yeah, this is my office. And give you guys a little tour. There it is. Yeah. This is my office, guys. My first live showing you my office. How do you like that? So anyway, before we shut it down, and some, if we have anybody new here today, they're like, what are you talking about? Where's the coaching? So it's a nice place to live and work. It is. I'm so lucky to be here, guys. I thank my lucky stars every single day that I got to be here. And it was all because I said yes to taking care of 8 chickens, which I had no business saying that I'm going to do that. MTV Cribs gives office. That's so funny. Oh, good. I'm so glad that you got to see my office, OSP. It's a beautiful office. A very good friend of mine who's an interior designer, she helped me, but I had a lot of opinions, including this color wall. I really wanted this, and I wanted it in homage to New York City because of my, I love the city and I miss it. And this is picture of Grand Central Station, which attached to Grand Central Station is the MetLife building, which is at 200 Park Avenue. It sits in the middle of Park Avenue and Park Avenue South. And that was where I worked in finance. I was in that building almost 8 years, 6 years at the Bank Trade Association, and almost a year and a half at one of the hedge funds. And then I moved to Midtown. That is Midtown too, but like a little bit more north. And so I was in Grand Central Station and the MetLife building every single time. Coaching meetup in Hawaii. That's a great idea. I think that's a really good idea. Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. We'll have a meetup on the beach. We have some beautiful beaches here. So yeah, and even just like, this choice for me to move here, like as a New Yorker, that was not a part of the plan. I didn't have that, I just liked St. John and the U.S. Virgin Island. I was like, that's closer than Hawaii. It's too far to go. But, the opportunity opened up. I was writing my book, Transforming Wall Street at the time. I needed a place to, not necessarily be getting new business in the door. So I wanted to change financially my lifestyle. And this house sitting opportunity showed up. It involved taking care of chickens and a bird and a cat. But I was like, how hard could it be, right? It was a huge risk for me, but I took it because I was willing to take it. Yes, we'll do Navy SEAL beach training too. That's a great idea. I'll get a Navy SEAL to come and do some exercises with you. I do these VIP days, guys. And that's actually one of the things that's up for auction. I don't know if you guys are going to Traders for a Cause. I donated a VIP half day to Traders for a Cause last year, and that was bid on. They raise a lot of money. Those are very expensive days. They're VIP intensive. Either it's a 4-hour day or a 7-hour day, but we dive very deep. And I do them here in Hawaii too, just for clarity's sake. There are, I've done a lot of work with very kind of high-end people who are here in Hawaii on holiday, and they want to do a deep, intense day with me. And sometimes I've provided the property, a beautiful home on the coast, or they already are staying on island in a beautiful home. And then I'll create a day specific to what they want to address. So anyway, bet you can't get the great bagels and pizza though. Oh God, no, of course we can. That's what I miss the most, for sure. I second that. I think at the end of the day, part of the challenge is that water, right? New York City's watershed is the best water out there. And I have no doubt the water contributes to the deliciousness of the bagels and the pizza. All that beautiful bread is really enhanced by the New York watershed. And I was really fortunate. I did some spiritual training, meditation intensive upstate New York, very close to the New York State watershed. And I was like, oh, no wonder this water tastes so good. Just the forests up there and the land, and upstate New York is so big compared to Manhattan. It's just true country and forests and stunning, watershed. We're just very lucky to have that kind of water here. Or I was lucky. We don't really have. We have a lot of catchment here in Hawaii, which is troublesome because catchment is, just the rainfall. We're dependent on rainfall. And then, of course, systems, you have to have a certain kind of system to take care of that water and treat it, which, is hit or miss in my experience here. But this whole island is made of volcanic rock. So it's impossible to put, pipes in underground. Like, there's no way. You've got volcanic, solid black rock. It's not going to be easy to go put anything under. So anyway, a little bit about Hawaii. That was an unexpected divergent topic, but what are you going to do? All right, Franklin, it's good to have you here. And you too, Eric. I'm glad you guys are both here. Welcome to these conversations. On the whole, trading is all about self-improvement. I 100% agree, Franklin. Really, what I say frequently is that trading is the best school of enlightenment you're ever going to find. At the end of the day, trading is going to force you to be with all of the places that you really are in need of growth. Any place that you have a resistance to, any place you have a attachment to, any place that you haven't done work on yourself, I'm telling you, the market is going to be like a boomerang that's going to just find you and crack you right in the heart of whatever your issue is. If you don't like to lose, guess what? It's going to put loss in front of you all the time. And it doesn't always do that. If you are afraid of success, if you are afraid of money, if you are afraid of standing out in your peer group, guess what? You're probably going to do really well at times, because that's going to be threatening to your sense of identity. All the places that your ego is attached to certain things, the market is going to hold that mirror up and it's going to force you to be with it. But at the end of the day, guys, being enlightened, being somebody who's conscious and self-aware is such an incredible life change that if you start that in tandem or even before you start to trade, you are going to not only have a better life, but you're going to definitely have better trading. So this is like just being wise about the whole journey. All right, what does Eric say? Eric says, speaking of a spiritual journey, if you are frequently triggered like 5 times this week, is that a significant form in any way, shape, or form? Well, look, getting triggered, period, is an indication that there's something that you haven't healed yet, haven't reconciled with. Does that make sense, Eric? What I'm saying is that you don't even have to share it with me, but if those triggers all look the same, smell the same, taste the same, maybe they're different, but there's a similar quality about the triggers, then that is the universe knocking on your shoulder, say, hey, this you haven't reconciled with, this you haven't healed, this you haven't taken time and sat with it to unpack it, not to judge yourself, not to make yourself wrong, but get curious to look under the hood. That's like having your car check engine light come on 5 times and you don't go check under the hood. Like, what? No, it's asking for help. It's saying, hey, we have something here that is like a hiccup, like a skipping, like, I don't know if you remember records, but if you had a scratch on a record, it would skip and skip and skip. Anytime we feel like we're metaphorically skipping, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you to get curious. I don't want you to judge yourself. I want to be like, wow, what do these 5 triggers this week have in common? What is the story underneath them? So many times we get lost, right? We get lost and caught up in the weeds. And it's not about the specificity of the action. It's about what's the heart of the matter. What's the big picture? Is it discomfort with loss? Is it discomfort with great success? Is it discomfort whenever somebody cuts you off on the road? Is it discomfort with being judged? Like, is it being alone? Like, look for what is the motive behind the action, because it's easy to get caught up in like, well, I literally did this, this, and this. Well, okay, but why? What's underneath that? What was happening for you? That's what you did. That's what I want you to all look for. All right. So Shane's saying, I think the kind of consciousness work makes him more selective in what he engages in, not just in trading, but in life. Eric said, nothing in particular triggered me, but what I noticed more frequent, but what did you say here? Nothing in particular triggered me, but I was noticing more frequent triggers. That, Eric, is such a huge thing, because what it means is your self-awareness is expanding. I bet you 10 to 1 the triggers were there before, but you possibly just weren't conscious to them. You just weren't self-aware of them. Now you're self-aware of them. Now you're aware. Wow, look at how often, like, and this is part of the journey of consciousness. This is part of the journey of becoming self-aware, is that when you start to become self-aware, guess what happens? You're like, oh my God, I am triggered from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. Like, there's this uncomfortable period of time that when we start to become more conscious, that we start to become more self-aware, we're just like, holy cow, what the hell? Look at me. I am a trigger machine. I know that's how I felt when I first started my, kind of spiritual journey and self-awareness journey. I was like, holy shit, man, I don't even want to see this. It's like a train wreck inside of my head, looking at my gremlins and all the nasty things they were saying. Like, it can be uncomfortable at first, because then you have to look at all the places you possibly have been just showing up in a dysfunctional way. But don't take it personally. Don't get upset. This happens to everybody. All right, wait, I want to finish reading what Eric said here. Hold on a second. Valkrosky said, that's what I love and hate about trading. Absolutely. That makes total sense. All right, so Eric said, trigger mainly was people bragging about trading profits, or online coaches saying, oh, I made 20K this week, which shouldn't even matter. This is great, Eric. This is so great that you're saying this. So here's what I want to say about that, right? I completely can appreciate that somebody saying that they made 20K this week, that it shouldn't matter, right? And when we see people who do that, and whatever somebody does, and it irritates us, what that is indicative of is that there's a shadow within us that judges when we possibly brag, when we possibly show up the way that person, whenever we don't like something somebody's doing, it's a reflection of how we have a part of that inside of ourselves. And that is, we are fallible human beings. Being human means we're fallible. We're going to make mistakes. We are fuck ups, as one spiritual teacher taught me. All of us are fuck ups. But when we have yet to reconcile with our humanity, look, the concept of bragging, what is that really? When somebody is bragging, that's just a person who is saying they need to have some respect. They need to have recognition. They need to be seen. These are all human needs. Now, I would agree that there's times when people take it to the nth degree. But what I would suggest for you, if you want to take this on, Eric, it's up to you. But I would actually say what your homework is I want you to brag. I want you to brag for a week, because for you to brag, it probably will kick up for you some self-judgment, some discomfort. There's something that you bragging might make you uncomfortable. And I want you to see how, first of all, that discomfort is understandable, but that we all have a right to brag. We all have a right to like a peacock, right? Show our feathers off. And I agree that there's a time and a place for that. But the fact that those people are triggering you is a great opportunity for you to get curious, look within, and see there's some judgment you have about being somebody who toots their own horn. And all you want to do is kind of be with that concept. And that's why I'm giving you the homework that potentially triggers it. What happens if you start to brag in a way that's comfortable for you? I'm not telling you to brag in a way that's not you, but what happens if you do? Just the idea of it, what comes up for you? I don't usually recognize myself. Thank you. You just hit the nail on the head, Eric. You don't recognize yourself, right? Which is unhealthy. That's not good. You have lots to recognize for yourself. And if that inner gremlin, because usually this is where these judgments get birthed from, we have an inner gremlin that says, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are to brag? Who are you to recognize yourself, right? We have those gremlins saying that. And then what happens? We see somebody else who does do what we don't know how to do because our gremlin has shamed us for it. And then we're like, well, why the fuck does he get to do it? I don't get to do it. And I'm being told I have no right to recognize myself. And yet he goes off tooting his own horn in the middle of Times Square. Can you see? Can you see that concept? So what happens, even if bragging is too far of an ask of you, what happens if at least privately, or just to me in DMs on Twitter, you start to recognize yourself? See what happens. See if that causes you to feel triggered. See if that causes you to feel uncomfortable. See if that kicks up your gremlin who tells you you don't have a right to pat yourself on the back. One of the courses that I did with a woman who's known as Mama Gina, we used to have a brag fest with another sister goddess. It was Mama Gina's School of the Womanly Arts. It was a profound course, life-changing course for me. And that was for women only, but there is the male version of it. And I'm going to recommend that now, a shout out to this. It's called the Mankind Project. If any of you gentlemen who are here, Tina, I would say look at Mama Gina if that sounds appealing to you. But for the men, I want you to look at Mankind Project, MKP for short. Mankind Project is an intensive it's a new warrior training weekend that is very profound. There's also online course work too. You could do it. Mankind Project, it's a nonprofit, but it is specifically to help men kind of get over some of the hurdles of the way, look, the culture has indoctrinated men as much as they have women to not be themselves and to own all that they have a right to be proud of. So Eric says here, people tell me I should recognize yourself more. I have no doubt, Eric, but that is the power of recognizing when somebody triggers us, the way they show up. It's always great for us to take a look within ourselves, because when somebody else pisses us off, it's usually an opportunity for us to see a place inside of ourselves that's either neglected or that hasn't been reconciled with. I agree with you, Vilkrosky. Great job, Eric, for showing up, putting in the work, and then to now potentially start bragging about it. And again, Eric, start with where you are. If bragging seems like too big of an ask, then just start with internal recognition. How about this, Eric? How about every day at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, you journal down 10 things you did well that day, 10 things that you're proud of. I'm not talking like world peace. I created world peace. No, I'm talking about I wanted a second donut and I didn't eat it. I am proud of myself. Like, I want you to find 10 things a day that you did well in your trading, in your personal life, in your experiences with people. This woman was kind of cutting me at Starbucks, but I let her go first. Like, simple things, but things that matter, things that you're proud of, things that you could see yourself being proud of. I would love to see you do that, because I think it would be actually a great exercise at stretching the muscle of recognizing yourself, seeing yourself, coming to a sort of relationship with yourself. Look, guys, I have to tell you, there is no person, from a wife, girlfriend, or husband, or brother or sister, that is there when you're born and is going to be there when you die, outside of yourself. Like, nobody can be at both of those places with you. Infrequently, I guess, technically could happen with a mother, if your mother, is able to live that long past you, which would not be pleasant for that mother. But I really want you to think about this. You are the most important relationship you guys have in your life. And if you think about the way most of us talk to ourselves, if you think about how we deny ourselves and our own recognition, if you think about how you treat yourself, if you think about the pressures you put on yourself and how infrequently you pat yourself on the back, how infrequently you cut yourself a fucking break. If this is how somebody treated you as a friend, you would cut them out of your life. And yet, most of us aren't being that lovely to ourselves. But you are your best. You have to become your own best friend. That is also going to help you become more awake, more conscious. But if you harbor hostility toward yourself, if you talk to yourself with hostility, if you treat yourself with hostility, I mean, how can anybody improve in that environment? It's an abusive environment. Infrequently have I ever met somebody who found themselves in some kind of an abusive relationship of any degree, who was not also a person who internally was abusive to themselves. When you are constantly listening to gremlins tell you shitty things about yourself, it's so easy to get yourself caught up in a dysfunctional relationship because it's the one you have all the time. It's the most familiar to you. It feels like home. Somebody being mean to you because you're mean to you. So you want to stop the ones external? You better work on the internal one. The internal relationship to yourself is of critical importance. You guys want to be at the top of your game as a trader? Then you better get rid of any kind of drag. Just like a swimmer. A swimmer will shave every part of their body before a meet. Why? Because they want no drag. Why do we see those fancy things on the sports car, the spoilers? What is that doing? It's getting rid of the drag. I want you guys to look at yourselves and ask yourselves, how are you dragging yourself down every time you sit at trading test? You talk like shit to yourself, you're drag. You're going to have to work that much harder to recover from from any kind of loss, from any kind of downgrade. Like, all of this stuff contributes to your ability to be in the game, neutral, and paying attention. So get rid of all the things that drag you down. Draw it down. That's what I was trying to say before, but I was on a roll, so I couldn't come up with the word. All right. I probably should end it. If there's any last minute questions, put them in the box now. I see we have 9 people. Maybe I should do these later, guys. We seem to have more participation when I do them later in the day. And I am 6 hours behind New York, but I'll be 5 hours behind New York in another week or two when daylight savings time comes, because we don't do daylight savings time here. So yeah. So anyway, I'll take a quick vote. If Tina, you're one of our regulars, Shane, OSP, do you guys like this later in the day as opposed to earlier? Maybe 8:30 is a better time for everybody. All right, Phil Krosky, your vote has been counted. You liked it later time. I'm so glad it was good for you. Glad you were here. Glad everybody was here. We had really great questions. Eric, I am so impressed with your self-awareness. I'm so glad you spoke to those triggers. I am curious to see if you're going to take that homework on. If you are, I look forward to checking in the next time I do this on your homework and how it's going. And later time, Franklin likes later time too. All right, guys. I'm going to take it under advisement. I'm rethinking. It actually may work for me too. this seemed more active for sure, right, Shane? I thought so as well. Oh, Tina says it's kind of better too. Yeah, well, I would hate our regulars to tell me no, Kim, because you guys are like the bread and butter here. You guys are always here. So I'm glad that you guys like the later time too. All right, so maybe I bump it up a little bit, and that gives me actually more time. Sometimes the reason I can't do these is because of, clients and because of other, consulting clients that I have. So coaching and consulting clients. So anyway, I'm glad that this worked. And Tina, do you still have the chickens? The hen and the chicken, the rooster and the chicken. And are these just, do you just keep them for the fresh eggs? I have to say, Tina, they are worth having to have fresh eggs. That was a really nice part. Is I couldn't eat eggs actually for a long time after taking care of those really rough chickens. They were mean chickens. But since, I've gotten over that, and I do have really good fresh eggs. But I don't have my own roosters and chickens. I never will. I'm too scarred by that situation. But I do always say yes to my friends who say everybody shares their produce here, so if they have extra chickens, rather extra eggs, or extra avocados or lemons or limes, everybody shares, and tomatoes, which is a really sweet part of being here. All right, guys, doesn't look like we have any other questions, so I'm going to wrap it up, and I will really seriously see if I can't do these a little bit later. I am so glad for these conversations today. Thanks for everybody who participated, everybody who's shared. That's what makes these things so magical. You guys, PTSD, next chicken day. No, they died, Tina. I'm so sorry. They were a science experiment for my son in school. He volunteered to take them home. You are a really brave mama. I can't believe you agreed to that. You brave woman. All right, Bill Krosky, you're going to go count your chickens. All right, you guys rock. That is amazing that you did that. You took those chickens as for a science experiment. I am so impressed with you, Tina. You are a gutsy broad. You are a gutsy broad. All right, guys. Have a great evening. Get yourselves a good rest. And remember, be good to yourselves. Okay.